Happy Saturday. Welcome. Send a couple things up here. Go. Right. That. All right. One last thing here, and we'll be ready to go. All right. We should be live. Good morning, Erich von Erich. Welcome. All right. It is Saturday for the memories. Sweet. What is it? Saturday, March 14th. We've got baby girl over here in the corner, so we'll see how well she does. Today's gonna be interesting. We're about to read about the darkest moment in human history right here. Moment that essentially all of mankind's sin was bound up in one perfect man who died for all of us. Look at that snail. Hold on. Ouch. We got to find another snail, I think. There he is. All right, great work. We did it. But before we get into that, oh, there's another one. Where's the app? All right, hold on. I'm not quite ready yet. Oof, you can't make that jump, huh? Can't make it. Proverb of the day. It's out of Proverbs 3, verse 27. Excuse me. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come again. Tomorrow I will give it when you have it with you. So there is our daily proverb. Next, we go into gratitude. 3 things we're thankful for. Thanks, Dark System. I still got it. First try every time. That's what we do. All right, hold on. Here's one. Look at this guy. All right. Easy. Okay, we go through 3 things we're thankful for every single day, just to enter, of course, with Thanksgiving, right? So I'll start. If you guys want to join in, you're welcome to. I was writing down things that I was thankful for as I was thinking through this. First thing that came to my mind, Saku. Welcome, dude. It's good to have you back, man. Hold on. I'm going to die to this, whatever's going on over here. Oh, okay, don't die to that. Hold on, one last thing here. There we go. We did it. All right. If you stay up all night, you're here. Oh, 2 to 3 hours ahead of you in time. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, welcome, man. I'm glad that you're still awake, huh? We kind of stayed up all night. It was good. Baby girl here was a little less than pleased to be hanging out with us, or to be attempting to sleep near us. So she decided not to do any of that. I feel like you can make that. Watch this. I'm going to do it here. Ready? Here we go. First try, every time. You guys see that? All right. Back to gratitude. Yeah, exactly. You guys get it. I'm super thankful. I've got a really good team that I work with that I'm very, very grateful for, which is great. I got to have lunch with the pastor of our church yesterday, which that was pretty cool. Am I multi-streaming? Yes, I am multi-streaming. I thought your name was Dark System, and I'm just realizing it's Dork System, which I enjoy much more. Yeah, we're streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and then TikTok as well. So wherever you want to be is great. And then finally, I'm grateful for the fact that it is the weekend. I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm looking forward to it. And I get to hang out with my kids. My wife's going to go to a women's retreat, and so I'm going to hang out with them, and we're going to have a good time. It'll be fun. I'm not a huge fan of these. Okay, well, there's a lot of damage. All right. It's going to be a super good weekend, yeah. It's going to be really, really nice. Really nice. We should watch this. I gotta line them up though a little bit. Like right about there. Okay, well, that's a little frustrating. I'm running past them. They're not worth killing. That's the reality. You think I can make that jump across the two of those? Oh, that's not even worth. Ouch. Hold on. All right. We're going into Luke 23. You guys prepare your hearts. It's kind of a long chapter as well. We're about to read about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Okay, we're running through now. We killed who we could. We took care of what we could. They only get so much out of us. That's my rule. Hold on. Made it. All right. Is there no reason to be up here at all? Seemed like there would be. Never liked those guys. I don't either. I'm not a fan. It doesn't even feel enjoyable to fight them. Okay, the long windups. I can't ever get on. What's going on, A-Team Engineer? Welcome. Oh, that didn't kill him. I thought that would kill him. All right. Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate. Is this game beginner friendly? No, I would not. I mean, no, it's not beginner friendly, but it is. It can be very, very easy or very, very hard. It's probably one of my favorite games. I would say it's very much worth having and getting and learning to play. All right, let's keep moving. So the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate. So remember, they've just arrested him in the dead of night. and now they're bringing him before Pontius Pilate. Hold on. That guy was praying to idols. We can't have that. All right. Do I strictly use holy build in the name of the Lord? Well, no. I mean, I'm using the blasphemous blade right now. But I thought about building like an actual, I don't know, cosplay of that kind of type, but I just haven't done it yet. So if you guys really want to see that, we can do it. But it's very, very hard to focus super hardcore on the game when you're reading and trying to talk through a chapter of the Bible. Oh, I got to go get this guy. These guys are... Oh, I got stuck. All right, we're fine. We're fine. Man, they have a lot of health. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh my goodness, that was terrible. That was terrible. All right, we're going back to the word. So the whole company arose and brought him before Pilate. Yes, holy is a weak one. The problem is the power where the holy is coming from, not necessarily the holy itself, right? Because they are false gods attempting to showcase themselves as gods. So holy power isn't actually a very powerful thing in this game, which is another reason why I haven't focused too hardcore on it. All right, so they bring him before Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ, a king." Now, you'll see what they're doing here, just so we're all understanding kind of like the context of what's happening. They fully understand, like these religious leaders totally understand that that this Roman governor is not going to give a hoot in the nicest possible, most political correct way that I can say it, about their religious qualms with Jesus. They know that he will not care. So instead, what they do is they shift the focus away from this, right? These are like priests and religious leaders coming before Pilate, who would be like the equivalent of a governor. So he'd be overseeing a larger region. Okay, well, that's not great. I'm just picking up some stuff here. We're just going to wander through. Okay. Oh, is my health super low? I didn't even notice. So he would be a governor over an area. So he was over Judea. It's a larger area. And he only cared about the Roman regime. So what they do is they say, he's misleading our nation, and what they blame him for is forbidding the people from essentially giving taxes to Caesar, which is a total lie, right? I mean, there's not even an element of truth to it. In fact, when they ask him earlier on, like, hey, what should we give taxes to Caesar? He's like, hey, bring me a denarius. Whose inscription's on this? And they're like, it's Caesar's. And he says, okay, we'll give to Caesar what is Caesar and give to God what is God's. So this is a flat out just mistruth, right? And they're bringing it to him because they don't have any other way to get them to accept the penalty they want him to take on, right? And so they say, hey, he's doing a few things. He's misleading our nation and forbidding us from giving taxes. He is, and then he says that he is Christ, a king. And so they're trying to get him upset about the fact that he's not giving proper authority to, at this time, a ton of the Caesars, the leaders of the area, they would claim divinity for themselves. Right? So they would say, oh, that did not work at all. Hold on. These little beams are not helping me. So a lot of the inscriptions, even on the denarius, would say like "Son of God" or "King." And so they're trying to get Pontius Pilate to be like, yeah, this guy's a problem. We're going to have to kill him. He's like an insurrectionist just like all the others. I'm out of my cool juice. So Pilate asks him, "Are you king of the Jews?" Good morning. We got one. 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2. Yeah, I can drink the blue flask. I have one of them. Yeah, I got to kill this guy to go on that thing. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to go up here first. Is it this one? No, it's a different one. It's a different one. It's over there. Okay. So Pilate asks him, "Are you king of the Jews?" Jesus says, "You have said so." Right? And then Pilate says to the chief priests and the crowds, "I find no guilt in this man." Right? But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea from Galilee even to this place." All right, cool. We got past him. Here we go. So they won't let it go. So Pilate says to the chief priests and the crowds. Oh, sorry, we just read that. Okay. So they say he stirs up the people, teaching throughout all Judea from Galilee even to this place. When Pilate heard this, he asked whether this man was a Galilean. So Pilate's under Rome, right? He's under Roman authority. And then, so when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at the time. So it's likely that based upon the fact that the majority of the population was coming together for the festival that's happening at this time, right? Most people are coming in from all these different areas to one place in order to be a part of the festival. That's why Herod was there as well, right? So they were all coming in from out of town, and everyone's all in the same place. There is a lot of belief that Herod was actually a converted Jew or a half Jew, so he actually followed the religious law and authority, though he was an overseer of Rome, right? So he was given authority. So you got these two guys, right? Pilate is like the governor; he's over the entire area, over the entire jurisdiction of Judea. So pretty much everything related to, hey, Saint Daniel, thank you for following, welcome. He's pretty much over the entire jurisdiction. And then Herod is called a tetrarch. So Herod would be like the equivalent of, I don't even know what you would call it. Somebody on city council. It's very different than that. That's not the truth. But, probably like a mayor. That's a better way to say it. Sorry. So then we got a governor, which is Pontius Pilate. He oversees this entire area. And then this kind of sub-leader who would usually be over a quarter of an area that the Pilate was over. Pontius Pilate would have been over. So he was over Judea, or not Judea, Galilee. Herod was. So Herod's the smaller leader, right? People called him a king, right? And you could see, like, this is where if you have this kind of context, it's interesting. Yeah, we've done, whoa, what is that, a meerkat? Thanks so much, Saku, that's cool. Yes, we've actually done a lot more. We're like on our 6th or 7th book of the Bible, I believe. I think we're going into Job next, so that'll be fun. It'll be very fun. Thanks so much for the meerkat, Saku. That's super cool. Okay, so you've got Herod, right? Herod's a tetrarch. He's over a smaller jurisdiction. But you can see when you understand that, when you know this, it kind of changes the perspective. Because if we go back to when he's talking with, I can't remember who's dancing for him or whatever, but somebody's sitting there dancing for him, and he's like, hey, I'll give you anything, even up to half of my kingdom. Because they would call him like a king, but he was under a tiny jurisdiction. That guy, it gives you clarity as to kind of what he's like, because that really meant nothing. He's under the jurisdiction of Rome. He's below a Pilate, who would be like a governor, who is below a Caesar, right? He is pretty far down on the chain of command. And he really doesn't have that much. It's more of an administrative authority to oversee a small area of a specific area that a pilot would be over. So very, very like small authority. And so this moment that we're looking at right here, where Pilate sends Jesus to Herod, is actually like a great honor, right? Pilate doesn't have to give Herod the time of day. He doesn't have to care about anything that Herod's doing. And we see that it's massively meaningful and impactful to him, because they become friends after this. This is what I'll say in just a minute here. So he sends him because he's like, hey, this is under Herod's jurisdiction. Let's get him out of my hair. Go send him over to this guy. And Herod saw Jesus and was very glad, for he had long desired to see him, because he had heard about him and was hoping to see some sign done by him. So Herod is just excited. This is similar to when he first goes into, Nazareth? And everyone's like, hey, show us a sign like you have in these other places. And they don't care nearly as much about Jesus himself. Oh, you scared me. I thought that was going to do something immediate. Okay, well, I'm just going to die. Hold on. Michael, welcome. All right, I need you to attack. Oh, careful. Oh, I couldn't. I got stun locked. Okay, so he's super glad to see him. It's similar, though. He just wants to see him do something cool. He wants to see him do a sign. What's going on? What is that name? McCheese in it and Brawl MMA. Welcome. Tyler, cameraman. You got a cool name. Welcome, y'all. Happy you're here. Okay, so stoked to see him. He wants to see him do a cool signs. He wants to see him do something because he's heard about everybody else getting to see this guy do all this cool stuff. And this is similar to how he perceives John before he kills him, because he brings John in multiple. Is it John? Maybe I'm mistaken what I'm thinking about. No, I'm pretty sure he wants to bring John in over and over again, because there's been this is Bible study, a game. What? Yes, Tejas. We're playing a game and doing a Bible study. But he had liked John the Baptist as well for the same reason. He was like, this guy's mysterious. I want to see what he's about. I want to see what he's doing. And then, and you see the same thing happen with Peter, with like Paul, right? I think it's the Caesar keeps bringing him in, or maybe it's Pilate. I can't remember. But one of those leaders keeps bringing him in over and over again, hoping he'll give him money or something, or do something cool for him. So it's just super interesting. So you've got Herod doing the same thing, being like, okay, sweet. Yeah, I want to see this guy. And then feeling, oh, I need to go the other way. Hold on. I forgot. Our lift is over here. Here we go. Nice try. All right. Electrician, I appreciate it. 13 roses? Saku, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's a lot of roses. That's like a baker's dozen of roses. Electrician Boxer, I appreciate it. Man, God's given me a joy for his word that I have struggled with all my life, and it's like completely changed recently. So I've been thinking, Johnny, this is actually a very, very consistent thing that comes up. I appreciate the way that you brought that up, because Johnny said, I've been thinking about playing Elden Ring, but I feel like it has a lot of not Christian-like things. I get a lot of accusations that what I'm doing is wrong, and I feel very confident in my own conviction that it's not. This can be it might be a longer stream today. We're going to be going through all of 23, and it's a long chapter, and we keep getting derailed. But what I feel confident about is this. So there's a lot of people who say, hey, there is a lot of not Christian things in Elden Ring, or hey, there's demonic things in there, or hey, there's stuff of the occult. And I think when I hear that, I don't disagree. I think there are. I think that storytelling, and I've heard a lot of things like, hey, dark and light cannot mix, right? And this isn't good. Man, that is doing so much damage. Okay, well, I couldn't roll. The game is called Elden Ring. Yeah, that's what we're playing here. So I get a lot of comments like that, and I understand it. I understand the desire to like keep people from walking on the wrong path or keep people from stumbling, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. I think that's very, very good, and I appreciate people who come to me and were like, "Hey, I'm concerned about you." Here's what I'll say: the Bible mixes dark and light. The Bible has things of the occult. The Bible has mediums. The Bible has witchcraft. The Bible has all of this kind of stuff. And if we look at like how we don't look at all mediums this way, right? Like there are a ton of people who would be like, yeah, Lord of the Rings is great. Lord of the Rings has every element of witchcraft, the occult, human animal hybrid. Like there's all sorts of very, very dark stuff. And I think when you look at it from the perspective of telling a story between dark and light, the entire context and content of it is literally to showcase, hey, here's what's good, here's what's bad. Games give you the opportunity to choose which direction you go, and that's for sure. And that can be something to think about, right? Like I've never played a game like Grand Theft Auto, and I'm not saying it's like sinful for someone else to play it, but it's not something that's intrigued me. God sent Abraham to Canaan, bro. I think you can get away with playing a game. Yeah, that's fair. But I think any element of storytelling, you're going to have light versus dark, and you're going to have, that's going to be a part of this thing, right? It's like how you want to display that, how you want to portray it. And I personally think these games are great, and they have very, very like Christ adjacent, Bible adjacent themes. Like all of Dark Souls, the whole content is you've got someone who's messed with humanity to the point, right? They've attempted to find it like some sort of eternal life, some sort of power beyond belief, and that is what's happening in all these games. Is that's what's being looked for. They damage the proper order of the way that the world works, right? That's what's going on here. And so now people are hollow shells of themselves, right? And that's what we've seen is like we sin against God, we become spiritually dead, and now, I'm not saying it's a perfect example of, oh my goodness, I'm doing terrible against this one. Hold on. We're going to be distracted for a second. All right. Let's kill this thing and then we'll keep talking. Anyway, I think it can be. There's some people who have a very strong conviction. I think that's great. I don't have that, and I also don't think that it's leading me in any path to affect the way that I live and love other people. And I feel like God's leading me to use it as a method of reading His Word, blessing people. All right. Look at that. We did it. Man, some of the timing on this stuff is so unique. It's hard to dodge when there's like combos going off all the time. Will you let me hit you once or twice? We're going to stay right here. Oh, man. See that? Like the priming of that while they're following up. Thanks, JT Doppler. What a cool name. I appreciate that. Hi, Phenomenal Phoenix. Welcome. All right. Let's keep on going. Tree of Knowledge. Spindle Bibby. God sent Abraham to Canaan. Tree of Knowledge. Okay, cool. All right, we got to try to beat this guy. We got to keep reading, though. So we got Herod. He's seeing him. He's excited to be here. Well, happy to have you all here. I appreciate you being here. Okay, so Herod saw Jesus. He was very glad. He had long desired to see him because he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but Jesus makes no answer, right? Jesus doesn't answer him. This is actually a fulfillment. I might have just lost my camera. We'll see. If I did, I'll plug in a new battery here. At some point, if we if we continue on in this, I'll have to get something that actually won't die every, 30 or 40 minutes. Let me try. Hold on. All right, I think we're back. You guys let me know when you can see me. So Jesus makes no answer. This is also a prophetic fulfillment right here. Baby girl might need me to pick her up here soon. Because back in, I think it's Isaiah 53. Yeah, he was oppressed and was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before it shears is silent. So he opened not his mouth. Right, and there's actually, we need to read more of that because so much of this entire chapter is Isaiah 53, multiple of the Psalms, but it's good stuff. Bob, I appreciate you liking this. Thank you. Okay, so he wouldn't answer him. Well, you're good. It's a Saturday, right? You can sleep in as long as you want, dude. You're free in Christ, man. Sleep. I'm in a phase in life where we're not allowed to sleep. This baby over here is like, nope, you can't. All right. Morning. Welcome. So Herod and his soldiers. Okay, sorry. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him. Right? And so Herod's looking for the acceptance, the appeal of the people. That's what Herod's like. Oh my goodness, I pushed the wrong button. These guys won't give me a break. I think I need to stay the focal point of this thing. Watch this. There you go, the poisoner. No, stay over here in my poison cloud. I don't think a while, unless the baby starts really losing it, I'll be here a while. We've got a long ways to go through this chapter. Do you think that she can't be poisoned? I mean, she's standing in that. Oh, she's poisoned now. Okay. I don't like those. That's what makes this thing hard. If those weren't here, I don't think this would be that hard. Okay, hold on. Chill out. Oh, my goodness. It's terrible. Bella, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so go grab yourself a bagel. That's great. You got time. David Williams, I appreciate you following, man. Thank you. Okay, so he questions him at length. He makes no answer. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him, and Herod and his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. So he's not looking for the true, like, whether or not Jesus is good or not, right? What he's essentially doing is belittling Jesus to the point where it's like, hey, it's not even worth me taking my time to do this. We'll dress him up. We'll mock him for you guys. We'll join him in so that you guys think we've done something, and then I'm going to send him on back to Pilate. Oh, thank you for following. Bella, Electrician Boxer, I appreciate you all following. Welcome. Okay, we've got a question here, and it says, so I've got a question. My son is so big in gaming, and he's 12, and it's a lot. Help me understand how to talk to him. Well, I usually speak English to my kid. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. That wasn't very nice. I apologize. My kids are native English speakers, so that's how I choose to speak to them. I don't know. It's tough. I'm not sure what the, like we've got fairly limited access at our house. My kids enjoy playing video games, but it's mainly like a family event for us. I don't know if that fits with y'all's lifestyle or not, but I think talking to him is just talking to him, talking about what he's interested in, even if you don't fully understand it, as well as just loving on him. But I'm not a parenting genius. I only have 5, and I'm still figuring out how to be apparent to them. So, how do you survive the east part of the map? The one in the reddish color? Oh, you wait until you're a little higher level. That's the key. You don't go in there. Stay. Oh my goodness, that didn't hit. All right. You got some sweet. He's staying alive a while. That's good. Oh, the focus changes so fast. All right, we're good. You think I can parry that? It's. Let's try. Ouch. I'm not parrying that. Okay, man. What an interesting mix. Thanks, user 689-123-8484-538. I appreciate it. Yeah, Vic, I wouldn't go in there yet. I'd wait a little bit longer. Oh, baby girl's waking up. We got to keep going. Okay, so questions him at length. Hey, so Herod and the soldiers treated him with contempt, mocked him, then arrayed him in splendid clothing. So they're just absolutely like belittling him and sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day, for before they had been in enmity with each other. So a lot of this was probably based on the fact that Herod felt belittled and he had a big ego, right? So he was Vic, this is nothing like Elden Ring. Nothing like Elden Ring. But nothing like Skyrim, I apologize. Skyrim and this game are not similar in many ways at all. But I do think this game is more fun. I think if you can get used to the way the game works, it is more of a fun game than Skyrim in my mind. Oh yeah, we can switch over. Everyone gets mad at me though when I'm using like that's what I was using before was Bloodhound's Fang, and then everyone is in here and they all are like full of themselves, acting like they would never touch Bloodhound's Fang with this game because it's too used, you know. Okay, so he sends it back to Pilate. They become friends, right? Pilate's honored him by sending somebody from his jurisdiction to him, being like, hey, this is your guy. You take care of it. Herod's like, hey, I'm just going to ridicule this guy, and I don't see anything wrong with him, so I'm sending him back to you. And so they become friends because they're honoring each other, lifting each other up, both in just the kind of contempt and dismissal of Jesus and his authority, which is a little sad. Hold on. It's a fun weapon, man. All right. Here we go. We're getting a lot of damage in here. We gotta back up. Hold on. This game is so easy with this weapon. That's the other thing, Vic, is just find a weapon that you enjoy and that you're good with. I might have to take baby girl upstairs here in just a second. Oh, I missed. Okay. Makes it way easier. So they become friends with each other. Pilate then called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people and said to them, you brought me this man as one who has been misleading the people. And after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges. So he's like, hey, this isn't working for you. All right. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I like the mimic tier with it as well. So I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving of death has been done to him. I will therefore punish and release him. So I'm gonna make sure that he's stricken. I'm going to make sure that you guys feel good about this. So despite the fact that I find nothing wrong with him, I'm still going to beat and torment him, and then we'll send him on his way. Okay? So you guys can be happy. We can be happy. It's not actually about justice. It's just about, making sure that everyone's okay with this. And you see this even in Isaiah and in the Psalms, right? He was oppressed. He was afflicted. He did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment, he was taken away, right? And as for his generation, who considered that he was cut off from the land of the living, stricken for the transgressions of my people. And they made his grave with the wicked and with the rich man, though he had done no violence, right? Though he had nothing wrong with him, he did this. And then Psalm 2 is a good example of this as well. Oh, man, we have 200,000. Okay, hold on. Oh, I'm so close. Let's take a couple of these. So Psalm 2 literally talks about just these, this is what kind of struck me about Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord holds them in derision. Then he will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them in his fury, saying, as for me, I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell a decree. The Lord said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. People know this part of the psalm well. You are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask me, and I will make the nations your heritage. Right. So he opened, and he says, you're gonna rule them. So serve the Lord in fear. But this seems to be a direct connection, right? You've got these two rulers plotting together for the disgrace of Jesus, right? Which is what Psalm 2 is talking about as well. And so even as David is writing these songs of worship, they're coming out of him through the Spirit in prophecy as well, which I just find so interesting and compelling. You okay? She's going to get a little upset. All right. Okay. I'll punish and release him. But they all cried together, away with this man, and released to us Barabbas, a man who has been thrown into prison for an insurrection started in the city and for murder. Thanks, Tim. Welcome. So Barabbas is this guy. This is where this is really, really interesting. There was a ton of people during this time that were expecting a Messiah to come and essentially lead a revolt against Rome, right? They're like, hey, this is what was always talked about. We were going to get a king that's going to put us back in our position of authority and power. And so there was this view of, hey, we're waiting for someone to come. There were many Messiahs claiming themselves at the time, right? Both before Jesus, during Jesus, and even after Jesus' life, Messiahs come forward. I need a drink of that. And claim, hey, I'm the Christ you've been waiting for. What is this? Okay, well, yeah, thank you. That is a long ladder. Look at that. Here we go. Everyone hold on. They would claim, I'm the guy. How do we get to that? And then they would try to lead revolts against Rome. So the expectation of a lot of the people of Jewish descent is that Jesus was going to come, Jesus, the Messiah, right? Not that they don't believe this is Jesus, but they're like, hey, the Messiah is going to come and he's going to lead a revolt and our kingship is going to be reestablished. The authority of Israel is going to be reestablished and we're going to be brought back into honor and we will no longer be under Rome. And Jesus is taking this as, hey, you've totally misunderstood what's actually happening here. What's actually happening here is I'm coming to bring about the kingdom of God throughout the entire world. That's a coup. Thank you. Wow, you're doing all sorts of stuff. I appreciate it. Lucky Lenses. Thank you so much. You're awesome, man. I don't know what the ding-dongs are, but I'm guessing it's those. I'm making a guess. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Okay, so they say, give us Barabbas. Barabbas is a man who had led a revolt, right? He was like, hey, I'm gonna cut these people off, and we're gonna stop Rome from being over top of us. And so he's being, oh, look at that. he's being held in contempt of court, or not in contempt of court. He's being arrested for that, right? He led an insurrection and he murdered people. So he's sitting there, a pretty bad guy, but he does seem to echo what they expected a Messiah to look like. Not that he's even claiming to be one, but it's just interesting to me that what they were expecting is, hey, we want this guy that's going to lead us to battle. And then they're like, give us this other dude, Barabbas. The other thing this thing does here, and I'm going to talk a whole bunch about this because this stuff is like, this is my jam, is this is reflective, right? They're crying out for Barabbas to be released. This man who does the thing that Jesus will not do. He does the sin that Jesus will not partake in. Jesus is literally tempted by the devil. He's like, hey, I'll give you all these nations, right? You could take them in power and authority. And he chooses not to do that. And then you see this man who has both followed that, this desire for authority and power, as well as killing other people to get it. And Jesus takes his place. So it's this first immediate picture of what a lot of Christians call like substitutionary atonement, where they're like, hey, give us Barabbas, give us this evil, wicked man, and take Jesus. Right? Jesus is going to be the perfect sacrifice, and Barabbas is now saved. He is spared. He should die. I mean, even the fact they're asking for one over the other is just interesting to me when they're just like, no, just crucify them both. No. Give us Barabbas. Give us this evil dude. And Jesus will take his place. And it's this first initial picture of, look at this guy that's the worst of the worst. Jesus is taking his place on the cross. It's not Dark Souls, but it is Dark Souls. It's Elden Ring. Which essentially is Dark Souls. Okay, so Jesus takes his place. This is the first picture of, hey, this is a substitute for what should be happening. Barabbas is guilty of violent rebellion. And then, so Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus. It's like, look, I don't find any guilt in this guy. I'm going to release him. And they kept shouting, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him. Hey, thank you for following. I appreciate that. Probably Matthew. No, probably not Matthew. Thank you for following. Am I going to get attacked right here? Time for bravery. Okay. So they're shouting. They won't stop shouting, crucify him. A third time he said to them, why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no guilt deserving of death. I therefore punish and release him. So he's like, listen, according to Roman law, there is nothing wrong with this guy. This guy has not done anything deserving of the death penalty. I will punish him. Hold on. Ouch. Ouch. Hold on. Hold on. Everyone just calm down. How was that not a parry? All right, we're going to get this first try. Everyone watch. Here we go. Hold on. First try. Nope. Okay. We'll go again. How far back am I now? Am I pretty far back there? Do I have to come way far over? It's going to not be great. I should have just ran past. Okay. So they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified. Seku, let him cook. I appreciate it, man. Demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So finally he gives up. He's like, listen, decided that their demand should be granted. Just kill him. There's enough of them here, right? Forget justice, forget truth. At this point, let's just go ahead and have it done. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown in prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. So, and in another gospel, it says that he literally washes his hands and says, I won't take any of the guilt of this on me, right? So he washes his hands of it, hands them over to the religious authority to say, hey, do what you want with him. I'm not going to stop you, but this isn't on me. Here it kind of makes the claim that, hey, this is equal. I think Luke is much more, over the other gospel writers, Luke is much more interested in the content and context of the Gentiles, because that's a key interest point for him. And so you'll see here, he doesn't take the onus off of the people who are Gentiles playing roles in this as well. Ellis, thanks for following. Appreciate it. Right. So he makes a point to say that, hey, it was on Pontius Pilate as well, as Herod as well, right? These guys who may or may not be, I mean, we know Pontius Pilate was not Jewish, but these guys who are not a part of the Jewish lineage, a part of the culture, it's still on them, right? It's still on us as Gentiles, even if we're not of the line of Abraham, we chose to kill him too, right? And this is something that's super important for us to understand and to know, is that you and I are guilty of the death of Christ. That's the reality. That we would have been right there with everybody else yelling, crucify him, crucify him. And praise be to God that Jesus went anyway, right? That he died for the sake of his enemies, which include me. And so that's something that Luke draws regular attention to, is the inclusion of Gentiles in the story, the inclusion of like what is important from the Gentile perspective, which Jesus was pursuing them as well. There's multiple stories throughout this whole thing of him healing Gentile people. You've got the Roman centurion, you've got the Samaritan woman, you've got the Legion, the guy who is indwelt with Legion, and all of these people are not, all these people are not of Jewish descent. Others will focus more on Jesus' focus on the people of Israel, and then Acts takes it into the expanse of the expanse of that into the Gentile people, which we do see later on. But Luke finds it very important in the immediate. It's not going to let me sit down at this. All right. Nice try. Come on here. Okay, we're going to keep carrying on. Nice. We got him. All right, and as they led him away, they seized one Simon of Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, and laid on him the cross to carry behind Jesus. So Simon the Cyrene was probably a Jew who was coming into town for the festival or for the celebration, right? And it says that he's from Cyrene, which is actually like in, where's that now? It's in like a portion of Africa, in essence. I'm not even close to having enough. We're good. Let's keep on moving. So the cross is put on him. This is likely because Jesus had just been flogged, right? And he couldn't continue carrying it. So the Roman centurions just grabbed this dude and tell him, hey, you're going to carry the cross for him. So he was probably on a pilgrimage there. And there followed him a great multitude of people and of women who were mourning and lamenting for him. This is another thing that Luke constantly does, is he'll draw attention to the women in the story. Luke finds that very, very important. He finds both the Gentiles of great importance as well as the women. So those who are at the time generally marginalized to some degree, he will actually bring to the focal point of the story, because Jesus really did turn a lot of that on its head, right? He put a lot of focus and emphasis on these people who were not given a lot of focus and emphasis. That's right, first try. So there followed a great multitude, and they were mourning and lamenting for him. But turning to them, Jesus said, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Hey, Tristan, thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you, appreciate it. Enjoy your day at work. I'm going to kill this guy looking over the edge. He's not being attentive in his guard post. And ouch. Hold on. Oh, did they just explode themselves? What was that? All right. So do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. GPU and CPU you're using, sir? I don't know. I think I have a 3080. But I'm not totally sure. Do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming when they will say, blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. Oh, she's getting upset. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things when the wood is green, what will happen? Oh my goodness, hold on. This guy's interrupting my reading time, and I won't have it. All right. back to it. Fall on us and cover us. Yeah, the baby just needs a little coffee. She'll be fine. She'll be good. We might pick her up here in just a second. She keeps getting upset and then she'll go quiet again. What's interesting is this is actually reflected in Revelation as well. When the seals are being broken, this exact phrasing is in there of, hey, they'll call upon the hills to fall on us and cover us. And he says it here too. And for if they do these things while the wood is green, what will happen when it is dry? Right? The kingdom of God is here. This is like Jesus is actively doing miracles and all this stuff. Alchemist, dude, welcome. Glad to see you here. And sorry, I got distracted trying to read a few of the comments real quick. And then he says, hey, like when things are good, when I'm here, when the kingdom of God is at hand and they're doing this, what are they going to do when things go rough, right? It's going to get worse. And so like, don't mourn for me. Mourn for what they're going to do to you once my spirit comes upon you, which is what we see throughout the entire New Testament, right? They're thrown in prisons, they're killed, they're martyred, all this stuff for the sake of Christ. And, okay, and then oh, she's losing it. You want me to hold you? Oh, don't do that. She might have to go to her mom here in a second. We'll see. All right, so for they do these things while the wood is green, we just read that. 2 others who were criminals were led away to be put to death with him. All right. And when they came to the place that is called the skull, so this place is called Golgotha. There are 2 main reasons people think it's called Golgotha, because that literally means the skull. One of which is the rock in the area seemingly or reportedly appeared to look a lot like a skull. And then they would actively do crucifixions there. I don't understand what these guys, they're just like, oh no. She's not happy. Do you need mom? Yeah, okay. We can take it to mom in just a minute. What do you call the suicide bomber guys? That's what they're like. Not today. Okay, so 2 other criminals were with him. They were led away to death. And when they came to the place that is called the skull, there they crucified him. Crucifixion, I don't know if everyone's totally aware of this. This was meant to both completely humiliate. Oh, really? That's cool. This was meant to completely humiliate as well as to kill the person, right? So they would usually strip them down. They would take lots for the guy's clothing, and then they would nail them to this cross. It would be a public humiliation that was very painful. They were very, very good at killing people this way. And yeah, so they would struggle with it. Well, what's wrong? We might take her to her mom real quick and then come back, because we got to finish this chapter. So if you guys want to hang around, you're welcome to. If not, and you want to scroll away, you can as well. We need to go. We'll give her 1 more minute to calm down, and then we'll go. No, not gonna be happy. All right, let's go. I'll be right back, y'all. You guys stay here, and we'll come back. All right, we've abandoned her now. We can come back. We're good. Okay, so what are your opinions on icons and the fact that Apostle Luke was the first iconographer? I know less than zero about what that means, so I wouldn't have an opinion at this point. It either sounds cool. I think it sounds cool, but I have no idea. All right. Yeah, she was hungry. She was hungry. I am too, but that's part of the joy. Is I act like I'm terrible because I'm reading, and so then no one can be mad at me for not doing super well. He was going to sneak up behind me. All right. Watch this. There we go. All right. So 2 other criminals were with him. Oh, we were talking about crucifixion. So crucifixion was meant to be a come on. Try again. One more time. Nope. What? Okay, I'm done. First try. All right, meant to be like totally excruciating as well as very humiliating. So they would strip him all the way down. People would talk about maybe he didn't die. That's not one of the solutions. That's not one of the outcomes that could happen. They were very, very good at killing people this way. And Saku, you're being too gracious, and I feel weird with how, like, with what I need to do to thank you for this. I really appreciate it. You're very, very sweet, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much for the gift. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Okay. So they came to the place that's called the Skull. They crucified him there. And the criminals, one on his right and one on his left, right? Hey, I think I should, am I calling you Pill? Thank you for following. I think that's a pill. Welcome. I appreciate you following. Okay, so they bring him to the Skull. They crucify him there. And there's one on his right and one on his left. And Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Showcasing the true, like, just complete different tier of what his heart is than over anyone else, right? Like he's sitting here actively being tormented and crucified and calling out for the forgiveness of the people that are doing it, right? We do not deserve who Jesus is. We don't deserve it at all. And he's too good to us. Michelin Knight's sword. That's cool. All right. So forgive them, for they know not what they do. And then it says, and they cast lots to divide his garments. So he's stripped, he's naked, he's completely exposed. And now we're going to go fight this tree sentinel all together. That is so frustrating. Didn't even do an ounce of damage. Should probably use the other sword here. Watch this here. Let's go this way. Actually, let's go this way. Oh, no. He's a rot one? All right, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. 1, 2. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna run this way. I've tried playing Wukong. I think it's harder. I don't really know. I didn't finish Wukong. How did that hit me? All right. I feel this feels a little less ideal. I don't like reading about the crucifixion and then getting distracted by video games. So I rolled through that. It'll be all right. I'm so lucky he missed that. Okay, I am rolling and it's not doing it. Is this hooked up right? I'm going to blame the controller. Okay. The people stood by watching, but the ruler scoffed at him, saying, "He saved others. Let him save himself. If he is Christ of God, his chosen one." So they're like, "Hey, if he's who he said he is, why doesn't he just save himself, huh?" Now, a lot of people don't know this, but that's actually like pretty directly in Psalm 22, right? And I'll read you a little bit of it. And what's crazy is Psalm 22 is what Jesus quotes, and it's not listed in this gospel, but in the other gospels, Jesus says, "Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani." I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but this is what he's saying here. It's the start of this psalm, which is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Right? And so a lot of people will be like, well, he's not God. He's saying that. And he's quoting something that's claiming divinity. He's quoting Psalm 22. And further into this, it literally says, "All who see me mock me. They make mouths at me. They wag their heads." And then it says in quotes, "He trusts in the Lord. Let him deliver him. Let him rescue him, for he delights in him." Right? And so these guys, without even knowing it, these enemies of God, these rulers of Rome, are flat out quoting prophetic words from David in Psalm 22 as Jesus is on the verge of death that echo this thing. And so we see Jesus saying the beginning of this thing, and then them completing it, having no understanding of what they're doing. They're completing elements of this psalm, fulfilling this prophetic psalm from David. And it's pretty interesting. So the soldiers also mocked him, coming up, offering him sour wine, and saying, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." And there was an inscription over him, "This is the king of the Jews." One of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." Go back to this. So, there was did I miss the part where there was an inscription over him? "This is the king of the Jews." So that was usually what would happen is over the inscription over the top of the person being hung would list their crimes. And Pilate writes, "This is the king of the Jews." Right? So and they get upset. The people of the Jews get upset at this, and they're like, "Hey, why'd you put that? That's not why." He said he claimed he was the king of the Jews. And Pilate says that "I have written what I have written." Hold on. All right, we're good. So, who's this? Come on. Got him. All right. One of the criminals who hanged with him railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive..." Oh, he's alive. Sorry, I was trying to pick something up off this body. Hold on. "And we indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward for our deeds. The wages of sin is death. But this man has done nothing wrong." And he said, "Jesus," this is such an interesting moment. This seemingly is the first person who is truly understanding the reality or the condition of the kingdom of God and what's actually happening here. Because what he says is something that is unique to really what anyone else has said up to this point. Right? Even the disciples don't seem to understand to the degree of clarity of what's going on, right? They're devastated. And right after this, they go and hide themselves in an upper room thinking that the entire movement is over and Jesus has to come back to life for them to be redeemed. But somehow this guy says something completely unique and different, which just like hits me in my soul. And it's this, right? "We receive the due reward for our deeds. This man has done nothing wrong." And he says, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Everyone else is on the ropes. Everyone else is turning in fear at what is happening here. This like absolutely ghastly thing of Jesus was supposed to be our Messiah and now he's dying. And somehow this guy on the cross finally sees it, finally understands it, finally is able to track and follow what's going on. And so Jesus seemingly in the midst of death, and this guy is like, hey, Jesus, when you come into your kingdom, right? He's on the verge of death. And this guy gets it. And he's like, hey, when you come into your kingdom, will you please remember me? And he's not asking for salvation. He's not asking to be taken down or redeemed. He's like, I understand. I'm getting the due penalty for what I've done in my life, right? This is the picture of us. We're hanging here on a cross, the due penalty for our actions. The wages of sin is death. We have earned it. It is our payment. It is our wage. We've earned this death that we've decided for ourselves. And he calls upon Jesus and he says, just remember me when you come in your kingdom. I want to honor you, like forgive me. And in this moment, Jesus says something so profound. He says, hey, truly I say to you, today you'll be with me in paradise. This is the picture of the gospel. This man did nothing right, nothing worthy of anything. In fact, everything that he had done was completely worthy of death. And in the final moment, in his last moment, without any element of any other benefit, no other work, nothing else on top of it, he's able to look upon Christ and say, Christ, will you just remember me? Jesus, will you remember me? Like, I see you for who you are. I proclaim, right? This is what faith is. It's a proclamation of the character of who Jesus is and the belief that what he did on the cross was meaningful and valuable. And he says, remember me, right? I deserve this death. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. And in that moment, Jesus becomes a substitute for this man as well, though he is about to die on a cross too. Right? He takes the punishment for this man's sin and for sin that was worthy of the death that Jesus is taking on. Right? He is justly on this cross. And Jesus says, no, you get it, you got it, you're here. Now you're going to be with me. Because it was never about what you accomplished, what you did, the good or the bad that you were. What it was about was the fact that no one can make it in and of themselves. We have all received a wage worthy of death. We all deserve to be on that cross. And Jesus took it for us. And this man on the cross perceives it. And he also perceives that he has faith that Jesus is more than just this man, right? He is both man and he's God. And he's like, hey, you're still going into your kingdom. And I believe it. Remember me. And what's interesting is a lot of people will miss the point that today the kingdom of God is here. Jesus is king on the throne today. That's what the reality is. And he says that, remember when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus says, today you're going to be with me in paradise. My kingdom is now, right? This death and resurrection is bringing about my true rule and authority. And so it's coming. It's here. Yeah, it's so good. I love it. I love it. It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour, while the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. So the curtain of the temple was a separating piece between the holy place and the most holy place. It was essentially separate off these two things from each other so that nobody who did not belong in the most holy place entered it, and only the priest would. It was a very, very thick, massively thick curtain to separate these two spaces. And in the moment of his death, right, when there is a perfect sacrifice brought before God, right, that's the context here. They would go into the most holy places for sacrifices for the people to cleanse them. And in this moment where Jesus is given as a perfect and holy sacrifice, right? Now all of a sudden that curtain is torn down the center, right? The separation piece of, hey, no one can be around the most holy of God totally shifts, because there is now a sacrifice that has made everyone so perfect that no one is withheld from coming into the presence of God. Because with Christ, right, for those of us who have accepted Christ, there's now no condemnation. I want to be able to run behind it, but I can't do that. I'll just have to wait for him to keep attacking me over and over again. We're good. We're good. We're good. Oh, he's doing it again. Oh, I didn't know it did that. Okay. All right. Well, that was a waste. Okay. So it was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. So for 3 hours, things go dark. This is very indicative of God's judgment, right? When things are thrust into darkness, God's judgment comes upon the earth. That's a pretty key symbolic imagery there. And so for 3 hours, whether it's an eclipse or whatever you want to call it, there was darkness over the whole land. And while the sun's light failed, the curtain of the temple was torn in two. So this separation is now gone, right? Judgment falls on Christ instead of on us. And then the temple is torn in two. We're now able to enter in and see God, be before God, whereas before we would die immediately. I mean, they would literally, like, when the priests would go in during these times, and it was only like one time a year they would be allowed to go in, but when they would go in to do this, they would literally tie ropes to their legs with bells so they could listen to the priest walking around, because if in fact they didn't realize that he had sinned and he walked in there, they would be able to drag his body out, right? Because he would die upon entering. So they would listen for, hey, we've got to pay attention to, can we still hear him walking around? Can we hear his little bell jingling? And then if we can't, he's probably died, and we're going to have to drag his body out because he wasn't ritually clean, right? And so to go from that, he jumped down here. That is nuts. So to go from that to anyone's able to enter, right, is such a wild difference, a wild disparity. And I don't know, it's just impressive. I'm just blown away by it. Okay. Then Jesus calls out in a loud voice and says, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. And we are now redeemed. Is there a doorway there? No, there's not. There's not. Hey, thank you so much for the rose. I don't know how to say it. Ellie baked up. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Okay, so Jesus calls out in a loud voice, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. Hold on, they're trying to kill us. It's not going to work. I rolled. All right. I don't know what they're about to do. Okay, well, that's fun. Right. I'm getting a little frustrated with this area, but we'll be all right. Okay, so the centurion, when the centurion saw what had taken place, he praised God, saying, certainly this man was innocent. Certainly this man was innocent. So we're seeing this dichotomy between the people who should be seeing the truth of who Jesus is, absolutely blind. Hi, welcome. Angeli, happy to have you here. So absolutely blind to who Jesus is, and then these people who seemingly would be the farthest away from him. You've got these Roman soldiers who, like we've just seen, have like forced servitude under Simon of Cyrene to like drag this cross. Like they're the people who are hated by the quote unquote people of God. You've got the guy on the cross with Jesus, literally a sentence worthy of death. And these are the people who are seeing who Christ actually is. Right? It's showing this massive contrast. And the centurion is sitting here praising God, this man who's over the Roman soldiers who are literally partaking in the event of his death. And he says, certainly he was innocent. And all the crowds that had assembled for this spectacle, when they saw what had taken place, returned home beating their breasts. That's like a sign of lament, sadness, tears, right? This is not a positive thing. And all the crowd, so we just read that. And all the acquaintances and the women who had followed him from Galilee stood at a distance watching these things. Now there was a man named Joseph from the Jewish town of Arimathea. He was a member of the council, a good and righteous man who had not consented to their decision and action, and he was looking for the kingdom of God. He's been waiting for it. He's been looking for it. He has been watchful. Angela, thank you so much for the roses. I don't know if I said that. I just saw it. Thank you so much. And he hadn't consented, and he was waiting for the kingdom of God. He was being watchful. Again, one of the spiritual disciplines that we're supposed to be is watchful for the coming kingdom, right? And so this man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus, and then he took it down, wrapped it in a linen shroud, and laid it in a tomb. Oh no, did we lose our... I didn't even plug one in to charge it. We're going to be out of a camera. You guys are going to not be able to see me. Here, let's see if this one works. 1 second. 1 second. Let me fix it. We'll see if there's anything in that. I don't know if there is. Nope. Might have to end it here soon, huh? I might have a webcam. I don't know. Well, we're going to be without. We're going to be without. Where there's a will, there's a way. All right, we're going to be without. We're just going to keep talking. You guys can still hear me, right? We're good to go. If I could shut off that little EOS webcam thing, I would, but I don't know how to do that because I'm just an idiot. Okay. Nope, that didn't work. There we go. Let's move. Let's move. Okay. So he took his body. He wraps it. I should just go that way this next time. I don't really need to be. Oh, okay. He's going to just shoot me with a bunch of stuff. What's this? Just a big hole of death? There's a lever. Here we go. Nope, 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 nope. Hold on. Everyone just stay calm. Stay calm. All right. So this man named Joseph, he takes him down, wraps him in linen cloth, and where there's a will, there's a way, as Boba says. And then he took him down, wrapped him in linen, laid him in a tomb cut in stone where no one had yet been laid. I need to get this thing back. There we go. We'll just keep doing that over and over again. Oh, that hurts. Don't do that. Do you think I can break this? Hold on. Ouch. Doesn't seem like I'm doing much damage. There we go. Okay, we got it. Oh. Now she's like a Beyblade. All right, we did it. I'm pretty sure you need to use blunt weapons on the crystal things. That's probably true. But where there's a will, there's a way. That's what I've heard someone say before. Okay. So he gets the body, he wraps it, and he lays it in a tomb where no one had yet been laid. What we were just reading, though, real quick, the bodies also had to be done very, very quickly and soon because they were heading into Sabbath, so they couldn't do any work on that day, and they couldn't leave them hanging out there. And so this was generally rushed. But what I find interesting is in Isaiah 53. It talks about he was cut off from the land of the living, stricken for the transgressions of my people, and they made his grave with the wicked and with a rich man in his death, although he had done no violence. And so, hey Keith, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And so you've got this fulfillment, even as they're burying him, the prophets are being fulfilled, right? And so Joseph buries him. It was the day of preparation, and the Sabbath was beginning. The women who had come with him from Galilee followed and saw the tomb and how his body was laid, and then they returned and prepared spices and ointments. On the Sabbath day, they rested according to the commandment. So they held themselves to the law. They did not go and dress his body because it was a Sabbath day and they wanted to honor God, which I think is cool. And now I'm going to fall to my death real quick. No, I made it. We're good. So the darkest day in all of history, and then tomorrow we get to read about the brightest day in all of history, which I'm stoked about. I just want to encourage you all, though, this story that we're reading, it proves that the absolute majesty of the combination of God's you're gonna die. The combination of God's justice, right? The fact that the fact that as we're sitting here and things happen to us, things happen against us, we see atrocities in the world, that God is going to bring about justice, that the things that are deserving of death, he's going to bring about death for. The things that are deserving of retribution, he's going to bring that retribution for. God's justice is perfect and flawless. It is without flaw. And we see this here, right? He brings about the justice that we deserved onto Jesus. Jesus goes willingly to the cross and takes the payment that you and I were supposed to take, right? It is the perfect replacement, and it showcases God's perfect justice, right? We serve a just God, a God who is fully just, and it matches it with a God who is fully merciful, right? He has combined these two seemingly opposite things of justice and mercy. What's he just drinking nothing? Oh, he's throwing up. He's combining these two things, right? It's like it's his complete justice of, hey, when someone deserves something, they will receive it. And then also complete mercy that, hey, I love you so much, I'm going to take this on myself. I'm sending my own son to take this for you. And it is beautiful and it is wonderful and it is something that we do not deserve. Right, but praise be to God that he's even elected to bring us into the fold, right? That we don't deserve to even be a part of this, that it could have just been his chosen, his small group of chosen people. And that would have been enough. If it had been one person, that would have been enough. But instead we see that he goes above and beyond, and he makes a free way for every single one of us. Anyone who calls on the name of the Lord can be saved. Anyone. There is no one too far from him. It doesn't matter if you are literally on death row, right? Look at this guy, the very first story of the gospel being proclaimed, received, and accomplished is a man who literally was being actively crucified for sins that were so grievous that even the people weren't willing to leave him alive. And he was redeemed, he was made whole, and he was brought into paradise the same day. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love it. So I appreciate y'all being here with me. My kids are going to wake up and I need to go hang out with them, enjoy time with them. But keep Christ the center focus of your life. Stay in step with the Spirit. We'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about the resurrection. And so we'll be back here then. I hope if you guys want to enjoy it, feel free to follow, do whatever things that you do on the internet. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, first thing. Thank you all. We usually start, it's 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, 5:30 my time, which is Mountain. Depending, though, what time I wake up on Sunday morning, it might be a little bit off of that, but usually it's around there. So we'll be going through that. And then after that, I think that's the last chapter, if I'm not mistaken, we're going into Job. So we're gonna start doing that as well. Fields of View, thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate it. I really, really do. And we'll have a camera tomorrow. Okay, so we'll have a camera. It'll be great. What is that? Title? I don't know what that is, but that's so cool. What does that do? Sent something. Let me click it so I can see and I can actually thank you properly. Sent TikTok. You're awesome. I appreciate it. I like the Book of Job too, Boba. It's going to be interesting to go through because I don't know that I'm totally clear on how to like walk through it well, but it'll be fun because I'll get to learn. So with that, you guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Stay in step with His Spirit. Enjoy, whether you're working or at home, just enjoy the rest of Christ because that's what He purchased for us is the ability to rest. Just enjoy Him. And I don't know, this stuff sinks into me. It's huge, and I don't want to lose it. So anyway, tomorrow morning, Luke 24, and then we'll go into Job 1 starting on Monday. So with that, you guys have an awesome day. Stay blessed. I appreciate so much all the gifts. Anything that we get, we're going to put toward making this better so we actually have a consistent camera feed, things like that. So we'll put anything we get into there. But we appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Hey, Lantern, welcome. We're just signing off. Sorry for you dropping in, but we're heading out. But anyway, hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you guys super soon. All right, bye.